Welcome, classmates, to a special report on the snowpack reduction here in beautiful Utah.
Is there concern for the greatest snow on Earth? We did have a great winter.
Let's have our team take a look.
Thank you, James and Justice. The ski resorts here in Utah are a billion-dollar industry.
They employ a lot of people and are relying on man-made snow as ski seasons grow hotter and shorter.
The National Weather Service for Utah has forecasted climate that makes man-made snow a key viability for the ski industry.
Arguably, revenue is a great concern for the consumer society. But what about the other lesser-known impacts? Let's cut to Jacob and Daniel.
The agriculture industry uses about 82% of the water here in Utah.
The current drought is so severe that the governor implemented a drought executive order late last year.
Various counties declared emergencies to seek assistance for agriculture.
The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, who is the official data bank, indicates Utah had one of the driest years since data was first available in 1895.
Agriculture water is not the only one in jeopardy. Back to Caden and Eric.
Thank you, Jacob and Daniel. The University of Utah's KUED production on Utah's uncertain water feature explains how drinking water is also in jeopardy with 3 million people currently in the state, and which many potentially double in just a few decades.
The production asks, will there be enough water to meet demands? Part of the state are already dealing with the issue and don't have time to contemplate this question.
The KUED production makes a grim comparison on other parts of the country where droughts have forced cities to find an unorthodox way to meet drinking water demand. One city in Texas lost its drinking water supply when both of its lakes dried up. Now, as we move on to James and Justice.
A research team from the University of Arizona created a first-of-its-kind detailed grid map that indicates some parts of the West have lost up to 41% of yearly maximum mass of snow from 1982 to 2016. Snow mass is defined as how much water it contains. This is critical information in regions such as Utah, where winter snows and ensuing snowmelt contribute extensively to water sources. Off to you, Justice.
Thanks, James. Snowmelt contributes to water tables and surface water across northern Utah. One member of the research team, Patrick Broxton, said the big decreases are more often in the mountainous areas that are important for water supplies in the west. As you can see, these mountains right here behind me. The question remains, what is causing this loss of snowpack?
Global warming and climate change are the universal factors. According to NASA and the NOAA, 2018 was the 4th hottest year that we have on record here in Utah.
One of the main elements that has led to this change is increase in temperature is greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide absorb infrared energy radiated from the surface. In turn, the temperature rises at the atmosphere and surface levels. It's important to know CO2 stays in the atmosphere longer than other greenhouse gases.
The EPA noted humans contributed to 40% increase in CO2 since the late 1700s. The CO2 manufactured by humans is discernible from natural CO2 due to different chemical makeups. The U.S. Global Change Research Program explains that there is a lot of evidence and indicates human influence has been the dominant cause of the observed warming and continues to be the dominant factor in an increasing rate. The evidence also shows no natural factors can account for the amount of global warming detected over the industrial area.
Is there a scientific consensus?
Absolutely, a worldwide one.
Well, it is known that human contributions are a large part of the rising climate change due to a large increase in CO2, as you can see behind me. There are other lesser known but important factors.
A first study of its kind conducted by Tom Painter of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, highlights how land mismanagement has also contributed to an increase of snowmelt, not just in Utah, but globally.
This study compares warmer air temperatures on dust and snow to ascertain which has more influence in spring runoff. The finding that dust has more of an impact is beneficial for Utah water managers. It moves our understanding of how our water resources in the form of snow and ice will react with warmer temperatures in forthcoming years.
A nationwide collaborative effort in the ski industry has taken place to advocate for climate change solutions with Ski Utah as part of that group. This is the first of its kind business partnership that will focus on bigger picture issues, such as supporting comprehensive bipartisan climate legislation in Congress, adopting market-based policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and decarbonizing the grid throughout the state and utility level initiatives.
One local ski resort in Utah, Snowbird, has developed a RIDE program, which stands for Reducing Individual Driving for the Environment. To help reduce emissions and encourage ride sharing, it is easy to see why the ski industry should have a large role in trying to influence the problem at hand. By implementing this system to reduce the number of people who drive to the ski resort, they directly impact the pollution crisis by limiting the amount of carbon that is released into the atmosphere, without compromising their number of customers. If the ski companies continue to make efforts for change, not only will they help with the issue, but they can easily influence thousands of customers to want to be environmentally aware and make changes themselves.
Another way for individuals to help is through grassroots efforts. During the 2017 legislative session, several hundred high school students lobbied and eventually helped draft a climate change resolution. It would not be until 2018 session when the resolution finally passed with the help of an advocate and a panel of students called Climate Solutions for a Healthy Future.
One student explained, the main message of the resolution is economic viability and environmental stewardship aren't different things. Obviously, not everyone in the legislature believes climate change is a human-caused and even real. But what we did is a start, a conversation around it, which is how change is made.
The lesser-known factors that contribute to the increase in snowmelt can be mitigated at the state level. The first step is for the state to recognize the issue of dust on these snow events.
This is a picture I've taken at Francis Peak in Davis County, and this is looking west over the Great Salt Lake. I recently had an opportunity to talk to a subject matter expert, Mr. Randy Julander, who retired 30 years as a hydrologist and taught at the University of Utah for 20 years. He indicated that one of the ways that we can help with the dust on snow events is to use magnesium chloride, an actual salt that's manufactured in the lake itself. There's actually pumps on the west side of the lake that can be used to spread this. Additionally, there is an invasive reed on that lake, and the state already cuts that reed and throws it away. We could use that as bundle it up and place that on the lake lower elevations that you can see here that are all this dust and mud exposed, and we could use those to mitigate when the wind comes in with those reeds.
Right. And as helpful as small-scale efforts are at the state level, large-scale efforts are definitely needed on the federal level.
The federal government has already taken large-scale efforts to address climate change. Widely known regulations on vehicle emissions are already in place. Implementation of voluntary programs such as the Natural Gas Star program gives incentives to oil and gas companies for reducing emission activities.
Additionally, there are market-based programs in place that let the private sector determine effective ways to determine emissions via carbon tax or cap and trade programs. The government also has its own research and development program called the Advanced Research Project Agency. The agency advances clean energy solutions for commercial use. Policies were already established in the 1990s that opened the door for nuclear energy, discussed in our next segment.
Unfortunately, simple solutions like a carbon tax are thwarted by lobbyists, some from environmentally friendly groups themselves. The students did not give up, however, and neither should we.
Now that Utah legislators have committed to address climate change, we can help them implement appropriate policies where enough people can do the right thing when they are motivated and choose to do so through the economics focal point. This is one of the paths needed to save the environment from future generations.
The path for large-scale carbon-free energy is nuclear power. The ARPA created the Accelerating Low-Cost Plasma Heating and Assembly Alpha program. This has provided lower-cost pathways to fusion power and to enable more rapid progress in fusion research and development.
Dr. Fusion, who's the program director, was interviewed about fusion and how it can transform energy use on a global scale. His passion for fusion started in high school, where he started to think about a long-term solution to humanity's energy needs. Dr. Fusion explains if we can successfully utilize controlled fusion, it has the potential to be an energy source with nearly limitless fuel, with short-term radioactive byproducts and no chance of meltdown.
Fusion power can be a dense power source positioned near population centers that produce carbon-free energy 24/7. Dr. Fusion knows the private fusion company's slogan is clean energy everywhere, forever. Once society realizes it can be a reality, the potential for this energy source could be limitless. Dr. Fusion listed the potential uses in industrial heat, fuels for transportation, water desalination, deep space propulsion, and powered flying cars.
This would not only change energy use on a global scale, it would change the geopolitical environment. Due to the abundance of fusion fuel in seawater, it would wipe out other resources that create conflicts such as oil. This should be our long-term goal.
Back to you, team. We hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation.
Team 5, signing off.